This episode is brought to you by Palmolive. Family time isn't just the big moments, it's weeknight dinners. Sitting around the table, everyone talking all at once. So when the plates are empty and the sink is full, use Palmolive Ultra. Palmolive's most powerful formula removes up to 99.9% of grease, leaving your dishes sparkling clean. And the new convenient pump makes cleaning even easier, so you can spend less time tackling dishes and more time together. Shop now at palmolive.com.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
Gary the Snake.
And your last name?
The Snake.
Dream Team. Get new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home. Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG. And right now you can get Disney Plus and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 3 months with a special limited time offer. Ends March 24th. After 3 months, plan auto-renews at $12.99 a month. Terms apply.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
With only 3 movies and 1 animated season in 23 years, you can't really say that the Tron franchise has been flooding the market. But will the users rally behind their beloved series when it's Morbin Time? Grab your identity disc and mount your light cycles. We're racing to see if Tron Ares is not that bad. Welcome one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies. Hello to all of our listeners in Tipton, England, and around the world. How the heck are you guys doing? All right, we are pretty much wrapping up our little run here during Razzie's month of other movies that garnered Razzie nominations, and one that I am so freaking ready to defend, Tron Ares. And here to join me, first off, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm great. Now, I have to question, do you have the circle or the square thingy? I'm sure it has a name.
The identity disc?
No, that's not what they use to stab people.
Yes, that's the identity disc.
The identity disc. I thought that was the round thing on their back.
It is.
Oh, for goodness sake. They stab people with their identity disc?
When you have a triangular identity disc, then yes, you absolutely can stab someone with it.
Well, there you go.
Right?
I learned something today.
But because we're talking about the third movie in the trilogy, it only befits that we have a third person on the show. Our youngest Ian is joining the conversation. Ian, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, and I'm actually excited to be back on the podcast, I think from 2 years ago when I did a Home Alone one.
Yeah, it's been a bit. Yeah, Home Sweet Home Alone, I think it was. Yeah. Oh, my God. How old was that episode? That's going back a few years. But yes, we are talking about Tron Ares. Now, I know, Carrie, I know. Going into this, you had trepidation because of one Mr. Jared Leto.
I might have had a
carrot's worth of trepidation?
I might have gone into it on a sour carrot note.
I know we have talked about this story years ago, so you may have to remind our listeners the carrot.
Well,
give us a carrot of information here, will you?
Yes, I will get right to the 14 carrots here. So years ago, when Jared Leto fronted the 30 Seconds to Mars band, I don't know, is that even still a thing? He seems to be acting a lot now. So anyway, 30 Seconds to Mars came to our hometown, and I had a dear friend who was a huge fan. We waited outside the venue diligently, waiting for a chance to, get up front, right? We had to jockey for the front.
Oh, you got to ride the rail at a concert, yeah.
At 30 Seconds to Mars. And, well, they come out on stage and he's eating healthy vegetables, good on him, and he decides to throw a baby carrot right at me, hit me with a baby carrot. After I waited, and I had a sunburn. I was beet red. I looked like a tomato, and I was hit with a carrot. It was a food fight. It was a... I'm sure he didn't mean it.
Does this feel like a Rodney Dangerfield sketch? Hey, I went to a 30 Seconds to Mars concert and a food fight broke out.
I'm very certain he didn't mean it, but I did hold a grudge.
What if he did mean it, though?
Sorry?
What if he did mean it?
Oh, I mean, maybe. Maybe he saw my sunburn and he's like, I'm going to whip a carrot at that, poor girl who's been...
No one should ever mix orange and red, but, here we are.
Here we are.
All right. Well, we're about to talk about Tron Ares. But before we get into this unfairly maligned third entry into a beloved science fiction series, it is time to take this movie and trailerize it.
The Grid, a digital frontier and one of the coolest worlds ever built for a sci-fi series. But it costs too damn much to make it, so screw it. The Grid is coming here. Eve Kim is on a quest for the Permanence Code. A code that would allow things seemingly taken from the grid and brought into the real world and allow them to last longer than an episode of the animated series. But the apparent offspring of Cillian Murphy and Gillian Anderson is also looking to make his giant 3D printer more useful than a Temu knockoff as well. But Julian Dillinger is more interested in more profiteering than helping humanity. Like a real-world AI tech mogul would. But Ares, a program from the Grid who looks like if he was a video game, he'd be called Super Homeless Guy, is malfunctioning. I mean, look, if I had insane eidetic memory about anything and everything Depeche Mode, I'd call it a malfunction too. Don't listen to New Wave, kids. It rots the brain. Will this walking Cyberman succumb to the weakness of feelings? Will Flynn finally digitize himself some shoes? Jared Leto stars in Tron Ares, rated PG-13 for programs off the grid.
Okay. It took everything in me to get past the Depeche Mode bit of your trailer.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Depeche Mode too, but not that much.
Oh, I literally had to bite the inside of my cheeks so I wouldn't laugh out loud.
Do you realize that if we ever do an episode of There Can Only Be One on Depeche Mode, I'm basically going to sound like Jared Leto rifling off statistics about their singles?
Are you going to do it in that overmodulated, deep voice?
Yeah, I'm going to go full Tron Ares on that episode, I guess. All right, well, let's get into who is in this movie. The movie stars Jared Leto, Greta Lee, Evan Peters, Jodie Turner-Smith, Hassan Minaj, Arturo Castro, Gillian Anderson, Jeff Bridges, and Sarah Desjardins. It was directed by Joaquin Ronin, who also directed Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, and Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, so you have someone used to actually directing sequels. However, it was almost directed by Garth Edwards, who was originally attached to direct it, but then Joaquin Ronin came in. And of course, one of the biggest selling points of this is that the soundtrack is done by 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who actually both appear in the movie.
What?
Yes.
What did I miss?
They were the F-35 pilots when they were,
Oh.
Now, this continues a trend because if you remember in Tron Legacy, Daft Punk appeared in the movie as well, and they were the ones who did the score for that film.
Cool.
This film had a budget of $220 million. Domestically, it only made $73 million, and worldwide only made $142 million. It is estimated to have lost $133 million for Disney. But when it was released on the October 10th, 2025 weekend, it debuted at number 1 with $33.2 million. The other 3 debuting movies that week: Roofman debuted at number 2 with $8 million. Soul on Fire debuted at number 6 with $2.8 million. And Kiss of the Spider-Woman debuted at number 12 with only $891,000.
Well, we did our part. We went to the movie on opening weekend.
We absolutely did, because it's frickin' Tron, and you darn right I was going to go. There are some good accolades for this film. Nine Inch Nails won for Best Film Music at the 2026 Saturn Awards. It was also nominated for Best Film Makeup but lost to Frankenstein, and nominated for Best Sci-Fi Film but lost to Avatar, Fire and Ash. We mentioned Nine Inch Nails. I'm just going to rifle all these off because this film was nominated for Best Score at the following awards ceremonies: the Kansas City Film Critics Circle Awards, the Las Vegas Film Critics Society Awards, the Austin Film Critics Association Awards, the Indiana Film Journalists Association Awards, the Hollywood Music and Media Awards, the Hawaii Film Critics Society Awards, and the Seattle Film Critics Society Awards. So, interestingly though, because the Oscars came out, Nine Inch Nails didn't get nominated for an Oscar.
You know, you could have saved time just by saying that the whole world loves Nine Inch Nails.
Except for the Oscars.
Except for Canada. There was no... Did they get a Juno nod? Like any rep?
No, I don't think it would have been nominated at the Junos. But I mean,
no love in
the
Canada.
The Oscars snubbed this film. I mean, yeah, okay, Golden won Best Song, whatever. I get it, K-pop Demon Hunters, yay! And yeah,
it's not bad.
And the score for Sinners won for Best Music, but this film should have been in the running at least. Like, I can understand if it didn't win. This film, this score needed to be actually nominated. There's no way that it gets nominated for all these other different award ceremonies and doesn't get an Oscar nod. Boo. Boo, I say boo.
Epic fail, Oscars. Epic fail.
Right. At the 2026 Australian Academy of Cinema and TV Arts Awards, it won for Best Visual Effects or Animation. At the 2026 Directors Guild of Canada Awards, it was nominated for Feature Film Crew of the Year, because guess what? This sucker was filmed in Vancouver, but lost to Frankenstein.
Well, there it is. Some Canada love.
Oh, absolutely. But then you have things on the other side of the spectrum. At the 2026 Golden Schmoes Awards, it's nominated for Biggest Disappointment of the Year, but lost to Captain America Brave New World. I kind of see that, actually. And at the 2026 Razzies, the reason why we're talking about this film this week, Jared Leto was nominated for Worst Actor, but lost to Ice Cube for War of the Worlds. And I feel like I need an easy button in order to be able to, cap that little note off. But let's get to the critics. At Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a tomatometer of 53% and a popcorn meter of 84%. At IMDb, sits at 6.2 stars out of 10 for a 62% score. Metacritic, a Metascore of 48. Letterboxd, 2.6 stars out of 5 for a 52% score. And at the movie database, sits at 65%. Giving this film an aggravated aggregate of 60.66%. That is a college pass by the narrowest of margins.
It really is.
But it still feels low.
It is. It is. I agree. Like, it was a good movie stylistically. Like,
I mean, Tron's always been very, very cool.
And not to mention, but also the creation of the Tron ride at Disney. Like,
well, I mean, that's been there for a while, though. Because, I mean, remember, the original Tron came out in, I think it was, 1982?
No, but it opened recently, like within the last few years. So you would think that would have given it a bit of a boost.
Yeah, and I still can't fit on the ride. So, boo. But I want to put this film in perspective based on the franchise itself. Because while it may seem low, it's actually on par with the rest of the franchise. Using Rotten Tomatoes as our aggregate for this here, the original Tron sits at a tomatometer of only 60% and a popcorn meter of 69, which for a film that is as groundbreaking as it is, that seems low.
And how's Legacy?
Tron Legacy has a tomatometer of 51% with a popcorn meter of 64. So that tomatometer is on par with Ares and lower than. Aries, as mentioned before, 53% tomatometer, 84% popcorn meter. So of the movies, it's the highest popcorn meter. So maybe it is actually Morbin Time. But they all pale in comparison to the one and only season of Tron Uprising, the animated series, which you can watch on Disney Plus, has a popcorn meter of 94% and a tomatometer of 100%.
Ooh.
The animated series is that freaking good.
Fascinating, because I was sitting here thinking, well, maybe the critics just didn't get it. I mean, I'll admit, there is a lot going on, and you kind of need to really understand the world that's created.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
So I could maybe see, if the critics just kind of like jumped in on the third one and maybe didn't get it, but it's interesting to say that the animated series did so well and really well.
100 freaking percent. Now, the funny thing is that animated series, I didn't even know it existed until we eventually got Disney Plus. I'm like, well, what the heck is this?
I was going to ask you, is it really that good?
It is actually really good. The voice cast is insane.
Well, who voices?
Let me get you that list, because when you hear it, you're going to be very, very surprised.
Is it the original cast? Do they bring Jeff Bridges back?
It is some of the original cast, but not everybody. So let me get through just a smattering of this. I mentioned one person at least comes back. That, of course, being Bruce Boxleitner, who was in the original and in Tron Legacy. But you also have Elijah Wood, Mandy Moore, Nate Cordry, Lance Henriksen, Emmanuel Trickway, Reginald Vell Johnson, Paul Rubens, Trisha Helfer. You also have appearances by Fred Tatasciore, Kate Mara, Aaron Paul, Olivia Wilde returning from Tron Legacy, David Arquette. It is Marcia Gay Harden's in this. Fantastic cast.
No Michael Sheen?
No Michael Sheen.
Oh,
no Zeus.
Boo.
Zeus has not come back to dance through this. I freaking love Michael Sheen in Tron Legacy. I absolutely do.
He can do no wrong.
He can do no wrong.
He's fantastic.
By the way, if you're new to the show, we stand the crap out of stage, which means we stand the crap out of Michael Sheen.
Get in the game with the college-branded Venmo debit card. Wreck your team with every tap and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash, a new rewards program from Venmo. No monthly fee, no minimum balance, just school pride and spending power. Get in the game and sign up for the Venmo debit card at venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
So good, so good, so good.
Spring styles are at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and they're up to 60% off. Stock up and save on Rag & Bone, Madewell, Vince, All Saints, and more of your favorites.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Why do we rack? For the hottest deals. Just so many good brands.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
All right. So let's get to the breakdown. We start with Jared Leto. So, Ian, we're going to start with you on this one. Your thoughts on Jared Leto as Ares?
Well, first, he did really good in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually thought he was one of the best actors that I watched on screen. When he came on screen, I was like, wow, this character's building up. Because from the start, it was him just training, and then we get to actually see him, and I was like, I don't know who he is because I don't really pay attention to the cast.
And you've never been hit by a carrot.
No, I have not.
I forget, Bud, have you watched Morbius?
No.
Well, consider yourself lucky. You are one of the many who is not. You are saved. But I mean, I find it, I'm kind of glad you brought up Morbius, even though I don't want to relive that nightmare. You take a look at Jared Leto and some of his performances as of late, and they've been over the top and a little, obviously, he is the worst Joker that ever jokered, and I have no problem saying that. Morbin Time he's half a good movie in that. I was trepidatious. Like yourself, Carrie, I was trepidatious going into this film. But in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, but I actually kind of liked him in Blade Runner 2049. And thankfully, we got a Blade Runner 2049-esque performance out of him in this. So I'm okay with this. But your thoughts on Ares?
I did a complete, I don't know, what is a motorcycle term when they like skid out and then do a turn?
It's called an illegal U-turn and you will be fined.
I will be the first to admit that I did not enjoy. If a movie had Jared Leto in it, chances are good I'm probably going to poo-poo on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I find him pretentious. But with that said, this movie made me eat my words. I actually really, really enjoyed his performance in this movie. I thought he was the perfect amount of almost like disassociated or disconnected when he was, just introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And the scene where he's kind of getting to know Miss Kim and he's watching he's watching her life.
Mm-hmm.
And he finds empathy and he wants to learn more about her and he wants to protect her when he finally meets her. And I absolutely loved every moment of his performance because really he's supposed to be hunting her.
Right.
And I almost found it interesting, like even the very first introduction where he's riding his motorcycle and it's almost like she's chasing him. It shouldn't have been the other way around. I don't know. He was taking the lead.
Well, I mean, there's a trend of people from NCOM, knowing how to ride a motorcycle. So that's fine. The one thing that kind of threw me off a little bit is that Julian in his weird disembodied head on the grid version of him basically assigns the idea or the rank of master control program onto Ares. But I'm like, I remember the first Tron film and the master control program was like kind of like the big bad at the end and was taken over by Julian's grandfather. So it kind of makes sense that Dillinger himself is trying to, create his own MCP within the world. The idea of Depeche Mode, though, and him being a big fan of Depeche Mode, I can see how it would work, but I think it could have been done a little bit better. And hear me out on this. So obviously, the original film comes out in the 80s, 1982. It leans very heavily into 80s music a bit as well, because you have Journey on the soundtrack. But no Depeche Mode. No Depeche Mode whatsoever. So I wonder if they had switched it, instead of him being a fan of Depeche Mode to being a fan of Journey, then you also have that little callback as well. But I mean, that's me nitpicking.
Yeah, but maybe it's who they got the rights to name drop.
Fair enough, because keep in mind too, they did have separate ways, worlds apart in the first film, and a little callback in the second film as well. So I mean, they do a lot of callbacks though. So I'm a little surprised they didn't go for it again. But maybe you're right. Maybe they didn't get the rights to that, and they didn't want to service the fans a little too much. Greta Lee as Eve Kim. Carrie, I know you're a big fan of her from the morning show, but your thoughts on her in this?
Stella. Oh my gosh. You know what's funny? When I first saw this movie in theaters, I had no idea who she was, but she is just so captivating to watch. And then we recently started watching the morning show, and
you say watching, I say binging.
Yeah. But she is just like in charge. She is power in that show.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love her performance. And then watching this movie now after seeing her in that commanding role on the morning show as she's like a VP, like she
is the CEO of Encom.
Yeah. Just incredible.
Yeah.
And smart.
Ian, your thoughts on Eve Kim?
I thought the character was actually good and how the story was building onto her and what her backstory, how she lost her sister to a was it a disease, I think?
Yeah.
And that Ares also finds out about it, and they just have this whole thing, and then her character builds off that, and in the end she just went back to Encom.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I like this whole digging through her data basically in order to be able to figure out who Eve Kim is and where she would be. It makes for the most stylistic necessary exposition dump because Ares is a character from the grid, so we can kind of, understand. Julian Dillinger is the third generation from a Dillinger that we met in the first film. Elizabeth Dillinger being the mother kind of thing. So basically, that means she would have been married to Cillian Murphy. Athena being another character from the grid, of course, we've got Flynn, But I mean, Eve Kim is a brand spanking new character to this world. We don't know anything about her. We needed this exposition dump, and I think it worked out really well. By Ares going through all of her data. And I also like the fact that, Encom under her guidance is looking to use the permanence code for good. And it also calls back to, because they make this orange tree. And the very first thing that they digitize into the real world from the grid is an orange. So again, we have another callback to the original film. It makes sense. And I love the fact that it's basically she's continuing on her sister's altruistic work. It makes Eve clearly the good guy in this.
So were they partners though? Like her sister, was she the same level at the company? They worked together?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. And then when she passed away, Eve kind of took over the sole CEO role of Encom.
It almost kind of left a lot up to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't actually say, and it actually at one point had me believing that, well, maybe her sister was the brains between them, and then she was kind of like trying to follow in her sister's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, she's incredibly smart, like obviously a lot of the programming, and was able to, repair the laser on the fly. So I definitely need to give her credit where credit's due.
Mm-hmm. There are no dumb people in the Tron series. It's as simple as that. Since we're talking about Eve, we have to talk about her, co-worker, I guess, Arturo Castro, who played Seth. This is the guy that went up to the Arctic wherever with her, an apparent breakfast burrito aficionado. Ian, your thoughts on Seth?
I actually thought he was a good character. Well, at the start, I didn't know so much, but then when you said breakfast burritos, you can cook it in the winter, that kind of made me be like, okay,
you were just hungry.
I was probably.
Admit it, you were just hungry.
I was probably hungry at the time when he said that, but he is also a good character. And like always, having a coworker with you is always the best. And I just thought he was one of the best coworkers I've seen in the Tron series.
All right, Carrie?
Oh, I liked him. I was rooting for him, and I honestly thought there was a bit of a crush or a budding relationship there. He was so incredibly, had her back, right? Like, even when she arrived at work, didn't have her pass card, he's like right there, so they obviously had that incredible working relationship, that incredible connection. I wanted to see a budding romance, but where she introduced Ares as her boyfriend, I was like, wait, what? You're breaking his heart. Like, what are you doing? Harsh girl.
Seth feels to me like the personal assistant, like the glue that kind of holds Eve's life together. But I'll be honest. Like when we first meet Eve and Seth up in the winter wonderland that is this little, for lack of a better term, cold storage for all of Flynn's secret files and whatnot. I'm like, why is he here? Is his whole purpose just so Eve has someone to talk to, so we're not just watching someone alone in the winter typing on a keyboard?
Oh, no, I disagree. I think he's also extremely smart. And
is he though?
No, you know what?
No one eats that many breakfast burritos if they're actually smart.
He's not just an assistant. He's also, I think, very much a best friend and a confidant. And he's essential to be there to support her. Mm-hmm. And I really like that.
Yeah, I don't see him as some kind of scientific guru kind of thing. I see him very much as the Kim's personal assistant, very close. I do get that. I warmed up to him throughout the film. Oh, that very much is the orange. Has to be. Evan Peters playing Julian Dillinger. Carrie, your thoughts?
You know what's funny? I was trying to think back, and was it Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, where they had very much the same kind of it was actually, no spoilers, but it was a very different character behind the mask that was the mastermind running everything. And I just couldn't help but think of that movie and that premise of having they had Oz behind the curtain. Yeah, I found he was a pretentious prick. I didn't like him, but
you're not supposed to like him,
but that's the thing. If that was his character, dang, did he do it well.
All right, Ian, your thoughts?
Well, when I first saw him, I just thought he was a big boy with a big mouth being rude to his mom. Until we finally saw it when, spoiler warning, if no one's ever watched it, the mom dies.
Oh, yeah. Supposed to say spoilers spoilers like a mouthful of people. Spoilers ahead. All right.
And I was like, no. And he's caring for his mom. And then again at the end and credit, he goes into the grid, the broken grid, and literally at the start, the entire time, I was like, is he going to be one of the ones that's going to die in the series, or am I just going to have to keep watching him crashing out?
I think there was a missed opportunity for Julian Dillinger here. And I mentioned that, from the original Tron, the MCP, the Master Control Program, was kind of like the big bad at the end with this very weird looking cylindrical face kind of thing. And I wish that he had taken over the guise of the MCP in the grid, because that would have made more sense. The MCP ruled over the grid in the first Tron. So why isn't he calling himself the MCP? I mean, he's using his grandfather's programming, so he would know all about it. But also, is it me? Or was he getting paler and paler as the movie went on? And I'm like, is he dying? Because it kind of feels like he's dying in this film.
Interesting. I didn't even tune into that. I was just like, I had hopes. I know Ian spoiled it, that his mom died. Or did she actually? Because I know that she
got stabbed right in the gut.
Yeah, but she held on long enough to have a final scene, though.
Yeah, she held on long enough to show just exactly how disappointed she was. She wasn't mad. She was disappointed, and we all know that is so much worse.
Isn't that worse? That's worse.
Mm-hmm.
Ian shaking his head. Yeah, that's worse. I had hoped it would be him, not his mom, that would check out. I didn't like him. I mean, as an actor, great. He played the part.
Yeah, mission accomplished. Yes.
If his intention was to be unlikable, which I think it was, he did a good job of it. And I mean, the face just was so cool. How the 3D animation of it coming to life, and the facial expressions that they were able to make of this.
It was such a cool visual. It did harken back to the original Tron. And they did way more callbacks in this film than they did in Tron Legacy. But again, this is just me geeking out on Tron. So maybe I'm a little too invested.
Do you find, though, he was a bit mediocre? I mean, he had to have known that Ares was going awry sooner, but he just didn't seem to kind of
care,
act on it. Yeah. Like, I mean,
that's Dillinger.
Yes.
He does not care about anyone but himself.
Like, yes, he did, redirect his trust and his power that he gave to Athena.
Mm-hmm.
But recognizing that Ares was probably going to, backstab him or go awry. But he just seemed kind of mediocre about it.
I mean, I think at that point, he's just throwing his hands up and trying to come up with anything. I mean, he is, as Ian mentioned, like, he's a big boy with a big mouth kind of thing, and is now way in over his head. So it's almost like he's acting out of like petulant, childish frustration.
That was a great point, Bud. I mean, how do you think he should have regained his power, especially when his mom passed away?
He should just, since the cops were coming at the end, he should just turn himself in and not try to put himself in the grid.
Yeah, but what's going to happen? Like, he's going to end up in jail. I think the grid is really his only escape is to go to the grid.
That's true, but again, he went into the grid because he tried to, escape the cops. Bad move, by the way, never escape the cops.
Also, these cops aren't going to know what the heck the grid is. So to their mind, they just watched him like zap himself with a whole bunch of lasers and disappeared. If you're one of those cops, I'm traumatized.
Yeah. Well, I think at that point, it's like, well,
write that in your report.
Case closed. Yeah, moving on.
That is 7 days of paperwork explaining that one.
Yeah. So you're saying you lost the accused. He just disappeared.
You're saying he zapped himself with multiple lasers into a pile of ash. And you let it happen. All right.
And you don't have a body to prove it?
Hence the ash.
Yeah.
Gillian Anderson as Elizabeth Dillinger. This is Julian's mother. Ian, your thought on her?
I actually thought she was one of the better characters in it. Again, she's still showing that mother figure to Julian Dillinger,
mm-hmm.
and making sure that he stays under control. Well, that didn't go so well, and then again she got stabbed. So a quick time character.
But the thing is, sometimes you just need a character to die, and this is her trying to reassert power, reassert control over the company, and just walk in like she owns the place, because at that point she kind of does until Athena stabs her. But you tell me Gillian Anderson isn't just so good in a role like this, Gary.
It is so great to see her again. I mean,
she hasn't been gone long, though. I mean, like, obviously she's been doing the TV show Sex Education on Netflix. She's been in a ton of films, like very much a working actor.
But great to see her on the big screen. I felt, and I don't know if this was a director's choice, but I found that she was watered down. I wanted more. I wanted more power, more assertiveness from her. I wanted her to kind of, I don't know, take charge of the company instead of putting her ungrateful son in charge of things. And especially when he's like, oops, and he pushes the button, which was a deficit to the company. I wanted to see her really react a bit more powerful and a bit more in charge. I mean, if that's her company and her son is messing things up, I wanted more.
I'm going to argue that one.
Okay.
Because obviously Gillian Anderson is, very, how do we put it? Ruthless in her own right, but in a quieter way that she is way too calm, cool, and collected to let anything kind of get to her. But I don't feel like she's the kind of person that would step in. She's going to let Julian have enough rope to hang himself with. And we see that when, he's hacking into NCOM systems with this little pseudo cyber storm the castle kind of thing going on the grid. And she's like so disapproving of everything that he's doing until he gets the code. And then she's like, no, get out of there. Like, she's approving of what he's doing or why he's doing it. She just doesn't approve of his methods. And that feels almost like the dynamic of their relationship.
It almost kind of felt like when I'm watching the boys, and Ian, I'm sure you can agree with this, when I'm watching you guys play Roblox and Tower Defense and the games that you play, and I'm just kind of sitting back and going, you probably shouldn't piss off the other players like that, but oh well. That's kind of how I felt.
you really shouldn't be cruel to these other people, but do it and get out.
But as you were, I don't know. I wanted to see more assertiveness, more power, more.
She was assertive though,
defending her family's legacy, her father's legacy.
Her father's legacy. But the other thing too is that it's almost like she felt kind of, I don't know, like miffed that the company was giving Julian so much power while she's been trying to run it. Because even that whole scene when all the army people and all that leave, and Ares like, Elizabeth Dillinger, an unimportant or unimpressive time as CEO of Dillinger. And it's like, well, I wouldn't call it unimportant. So clearly she's got her knickers in a twist on this, but she's not going to do anything that's going to make the board question her taking over again once Julian oversteps, his big boy pants.
It just kind of felt like she gave up.
No, she was waiting for Julian to ruin himself.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. It's, give him the rope to hang himself with, but I looked at it like I wanted, her to stand up. I wanted her to be more powerful, right? Consistently from the start.
Jodie Turner-Smith, who played Athena. Carrie, your thoughts on her?
Oh, she was great. She's so cool. Damn, she could run as fast as those incredible speed motorcycles.
Obviously. Now, I don't know if, they upped her programming to match that of Ares, because the whole thing about Ares is that he's like the ultimate soldier, the ultimate warrior. They, I guess, upped his programming and upped his physical characteristics. You have to think that Athena has the same upgrade package as far as being a warrior goes.
Oh, they had to. I think they were very much a team, very much on a level playing field, especially at the end where, she had that grand flying, I don't know, was it a machine, a flying airplane? She had like the wings, that big, I don't know what it's called, but it looked cool. I think definitely they empowered her a lot with, at the same, because she was handed the same
title of MCP once Ares, basically became, for lack of a better term, corrupt, in Dillinger's words.
Exactly, because it was now tasked to be her job to, take Miss Kim in to fight Ares. And she was great. She was so great. The scene I loved is when the sprinkler, and she felt water for the first time, and it was a new sensation to her. And then that's it. It was just enough to distract her, and then time's up. And she turned to ash. Very cool.
All right, Ian, your thoughts on Athena?
Well, I'm going to say it. I kind of liked her and did not. The character itself, right, was good, and her acting was amazing, like all the others. But the character I did not get as much as when I watched Legacy, and I understood how Tron got corrupted after who was it? Flynn, the old Flynn.
Yeah, so Flynn created Clue, and then Clue kind of ended up turning Tron against Flynn. which is then why Flynn basically fled, his section of the grid and went into his own little hideaway cabin in the, for lack of a better term, in the grid woods. But I find the thing with Athena, and you can kind of sit there and say Athena is to this film kind of what Tron is to Clue in Legacy. But I also take I look at the Tron Uprising series. So Clue is kind of in charge, and Tesla is the main enforcer. So in that case, Athena feels very much like a character that would have been seen in the Tron Uprising series, which is it's source material. I wish they had tapped a little bit more. Hassan Minhaj as AJ Singh. This is the CTO of NCOM, the guy who's running the ship while Eve Kim is off in her Arctic breakfast burrito wonderland. Ian, your thoughts on him?
I actually liked him, and when he went to go talk in front of all those people, if he was being really good. His acting was amazing. And also when he was in the car and he called Dillinger and called him Jewel or whatever it was, and like roasting him a little bit about and saying, I know who I have my money on. I liked his character a lot.
That's the interesting thing. Like, obviously these two companies both know that they're both trying to find the permanence code. Dillinger and NCOM are, they're always intertwined because of the history of the Tron series. And it makes sense that at that corporate level, AJ would have had Julian's number basically on speed dial in case anything came up, like, I don't know, Dillinger hacking the NCOM systems. But Carrie, your thoughts on Hassan Minhaj?
Oh, you know what? If more company CEOs and owners could be more like him. I mean, think about it, right? There was like past video or memories from Miss Kim where they're like dancing and having an incredible time. He walks out onto a stage and he wants to wear this like Stetson cowboy hat.
It's cowboy time, yeah.
And he just seems so incredibly fun, even when they trashed his building. He was so cool about it. He was just like, okay. And then he rolled up his sleeves and tried to fix the big laser, like what an incredible boss. I think most companies should have a CEO that's so...
Well, CTO, because remember, Eve Kim is still the CEO.
Yes, okay.
I just love that little thing where he puts the cowboy hat on and say, all right, it's cowboy time. And Sarah Desjardins, who plays Erin, this is AJ's assistant, just reaches up, yanks the hat right off of him as he's going up the stairs. And it's almost like Erin is to AJ what Seth is to Eve.
Yes, absolutely.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
This episode is brought to you by White Claw Surge. Great podcast pick, friend. No surprises there. After all, you're all about finding the tastiest flavors out there, just like White Claw Surge. And with big, bold flavors to enjoy, like blood orange, blackberry, cranberry, and more, it's time to go all in on taste. Unleash the flavor. Unleash White Claw Surge. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavors. 8% alcohol by volume. White Claw Seltzer Works. Chicago, Illinois.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
And then, of course, we cannot talk about Tron Ares without talking about the man himself, Jeff Bridges, as Flynn on the grid. Carrie, your thoughts?
Oh, I liked him. I wanted to maybe see more of him, but I don't know that would have worked for the movie. But the scene that he had, absolutely, he stole the scene.
Ian?
I liked it, and seeing him, was he in Legacy?
He is the only person who has been in all three films.
And he was amazing. When I watched Legacy, I actually loved his character and having this whole thing with his son.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to see him with Ares in the 80s. The 80s Tron.
The original Tron grid look, yes.
Yeah. And how they're just having this conversation like it's like a father and son thing, like it happened with the other Flynn in Tron Legacy, and how he didn't have a choice to, well, he had one to go back in Legacy, but he stayed with Clue. And it's just this character has one of the biggest father figures ever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the other thing too, and I look at this, is that there's a line when Ares shows up, and Ares says, "Are you real?" And Flynn says, "I exist here because you're here." Now, at the end of Legacy, of course, they exploded the portal. It wiped out the entire grid. It basically started the world from scratch. So I don't know if Flynn actually survived that or not. I don't know if he was digitized with everything else. I don't know if this current version of the grid is made by Dellinger and Encom separately, which is why there's two different kind of worlds. Like, there are a lot of questions that I have about the grid in this film that needed answers between Legacy and this. Now, I'll take as much Jeff Bridges as I can get, and I'm not upset with this whole, God image, if you will, of Flynn in this, because in the grid, he basically is. He created it all. So I'm kind of okay with that kind of vision of him. And if it's just a digital echo of Flynn in this section of the grid, I think that even makes even more sense than if Flynn actually survived the destruction of the original grid. But I mean, any amount of Jeff Bridges is a good amount of Jeff Bridges. We've been talking about the grid a lot. And of course, we have two very different looks of the grid. There's the Ares version in all its resplendent red, and then a callback to the original 1982 look of the grid. Carrie, I know you're not the biggest fan of the original Tron film, but to see that difference, that 80s look, when Ares goes into Flynn's section of the grid and is brought over through Flynn's old laser, how freaking cool was that?
I am so glad you mentioned that. That was it. It is so incredible to see where they've come from and to what it has evolved to. I thought that was great. I absolutely love that, the old school, like, yellow trail from the bike.
But even the fact that they brought the binary back in with the yes, 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 no, 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 yes, yes, yes from the original. Loved it. Ian, I know you spent some time, you watched Tron Legacy. So the Dellinger side of it very much feels like the grid from Tron Legacy. How cool is it to see this new version of the grid?
First of all, I liked it. And then, of course, red is my, favorite color. And that seeing a version where the basically it's blue and red, and seeing how in Legacy there was, again, red versus blue, good versus evil. I always wanted to see a red version of the grid from Legacy, and that in Tron Ares they kind of did that style and made it red. I was probably up in my seat in the movie theaters watching that, like,
hey, sit down, kid.
And it was like, finally, I didn't watch Legacy at the time, and then of course I had to watch Legacy yesterday, and I was like, now
you gotta do your homework, right?
Looking back at it, I was like, yes, I need more of this. We need a fourth movie of this.
I mean, if this film lost $130+ million, I honestly don't know if we're going to get a fourth Tron film. I am hopeful that they'll be encouraged enough to do another Tron animated series, because clearly they did well with that. But I don't know where I'd want them to go with it. It'd be very interesting. Now, Ian, I know you're a bit of a music buff as well. Nine Inch Nails doing the score for this film. Your thoughts?
I didn't even know it was 9 Inch Nails at the start until I looked at the soundtrack and see 9 Inch Nails did it, like Daft Punk did the score in Legacy. I was like, okay, we have two different genres going at it. We had we could say pop, right, for Daft Punk.
Oh yeah,
having pop for a legacy version, and for Aries, since it was very, very more like I could say dark than what legacy was,
industrial sounding.
Yeah.
But I mean the entire idea of what Dillinger is trying to use the grid for, and and sell Aries as, it makes sense to have a more aggressive soundtrack, for this. Kara, I know this was like one of the biggest selling points of the film when the trailers came out, like, music by Nine Inch Nails. You're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Your thoughts on this?
I thought it was absolutely perfect. Again, just the industrial beat and the fact that it's matched up with this red laser, blue laser, like the Master Control environment, like the feel of it is so futuristic, and to have the industrial beat of Nine Inch Nails. Oh, and the song at the end. I mean, that song is awesome. It's incredible. I'm a big fan of Nine Inch Nails. I have been for years. So to hear new stuff is always a treat.
And it's interesting because, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross have been doing movie soundtracks, under their own names. So when they were approached by Disney in order to be able to do the score for this, but then to say, but yeah, we want you to do it as Nine Inch Nails so you can go a little bit harder. That makes sense. I mean, it was going to be tough for me to like this more than the score for Legacy. When we did the Tron Legacy episode on It's Not That Bad, Daft Punk was actually my MVP from that film, because that score, I was so worried. I was so worried when they said, music by Daft Punk. I fully expected 2 hours of around the world. We didn't.
Don't ever do that again. Oh.
But they fully understood the assignment and made a score that was of the Tron world. And it was arguably the best part of Tron Legacy.
Daft Punk is so cool because they are so versatile. And I get that they really understood the assignment. And I just think that there's just something about Nine Inch Nails, that like droning beat that I think, and droning might not even be the word, but the musicality and I'm sure that as a musician you can better explain it, but the way, almost like the mathematics of their music. Like I know that you say that Tool is very much a math rock band. There's got to be a certain element of just the beats that Nine Inch Nails works with.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like they're coming in with like all these different time signatures and whatnot. They're coming in with a mood, and a mood that befits the conflict of this.
Tron but it's Legacy, different because it's repetitive, but it's repetitive in that it matches the scene.
Yeah, it's repetitive like torture. But the thing is, that's what you want for this. You want something that is aggressive. Tron Legacy is very much a story of, Flynn getting a chance to reconnect with his son Sam that he kind of left behind when he went to the grid and never came back. Here, this is about a war that could be coming to Earth from the grid. So you want something that's technological, but also aggressive at the same time. All right, it has come time. MVPs of Tron Ares. Ian, I'm going to start with you. Who's your MVP of this third installment of the Tron franchise?
My MVP was the actor for Flynn.
Oh, Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Like a small amount of Jeff Bridges, but I mean, I'll agree with you there in that it wouldn't be a Tron film without him.
Yeah, because again, when I saw him the first time in Legacy, and I'm going to kind of compare him to Optimus Prime's Peter Cullen. He has a speech that's touching like Peter Cullen's Optimus speeches. It's like you just made another version of Peter Cullen, but for Tron. And me hearing both their speeches like back and forth, I'm like, okay, these guys are the best at giving heroic speeches.
See, now I just want Jeff Bridges to go, light cycles, roll out.
I love that parallel, though, Bud. What an excellent way of describing his leadership almost of this created world.
All right, Carrie, your MVP.
I'm going to surprise you. Now, first of all, I just want to draw back to something you said earlier, that you said that they might not make a fourth movie. And I think that they really left it open, though, with Ares going off and in search of the one that got away.
Of Sam and Cora, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I hope that they do make a fourth movie. That is, I'm putting it out, I'm manifesting it, putting it out there into the world. Please come back, make a fourth movie. Have the same casting for an extent.
It would be interesting because, I mean, obviously, Ares is a construct that is now made with the permanence code, which is still different from what Quora was, because Quora was an ISO. She's described as a creation of the grid. She is a miracle of the grid who is able to live on this side of the world. So you have to wonder if the essence of Quora was where the permanence code actually comes from. But you still haven't made your MVP.
I'm going to surprise you. I know I will, because I'm going with Jared Leto. I am giving props to Ares. I was so wrong going into this with trepidation. I am so eating my words and the carrot. I am eating my words of every bad thing I ever said about Jared Leto being pretentious and a bad actor and just all about himself and scene stealing and all of the horrible things I've ever said.
There have been a lot of horrible things.
There's been a lot of horrible things. And I'm sorry, because this movie is the redeeming factor. This movie, he was just so genuine.
It proves that you can dislike the artist yet still like the art.
Yeah.
All right. I'm probably not going to surprise you at all with my MVP when I say this is a slam dunk case for Gillian Anderson.
Ooh, no, you totally surprised. I thought you were going to go with
Greta Lee.
Yeah, Greta Lee.
Greta Lee is my runner-up. But the whole essence of Gillian Anderson in this is so perfect, and you could not have picked a better actress to be for, like, and I'm going to put this in full quotation marks, she was mother in this, straight up. But I also find an interesting parallel. And, every now and then something happens in a script and you're like, I see what you did there. And I don't know if it was meant to be, but hear me out. Ares, in going through all of this data and all that, comes across this line of text from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the book, where it says, I am fearless, so therefore I am powerful, or something like that, right? And you have to think that Gillian Anderson's character is looking at her son almost as if she's Dr. Frankenstein and Julian is her monster.
Interesting.
Like there were a lot of parallels. I mean, as much as this does a ton of fan service to the Tron franchise, there are a ton of parallels to the world of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein that you could easily draw here. And I think Gillian Anderson played it exactly how it needed to be played for someone who is clearly as cunning and as ruthless as she had to be as the CEO of Dillinger. Carrie, Ian, thank you guys so much for this. And dear listeners, you want to stay tuned to a very, very special episode next week. And that is all I'm going to say. But until then, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is so bad that there is no way on the grid that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadCast or go to our website, NotThatBadCast.com. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to the website so whenever we put up a new episode, you get notified immediately. Until next time, she's Carrie, he's Ian, and I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.